All right, we're in the greenhouse with the white shade cloth on it. It is 19 degrees outside. No heat in here. This is the temperature right now. Looks like we're at about 32. We're just holding right there at 32 degrees in here. And yes, it did freeze the English peas. Not a big deal to us because we were going to harvest them anyway, so we're going to probably try to harvest them before they ruin and get them out of here, because we were going to take the plants and all out of here because of all the powdery mildew. We tried to salvage them, but it just didn't work. If you look around, everything that's on the sides of the green or the high tunnel is ice. Everything's solid ice. The radishes here, the leaves on them got bit down pretty hard, which I believe they may come back. We got a tomato plant here. I just pulled off a bunch of tomatoes off of it, so I'm going to finish pulling the rest of them off, and we're going to go ahead and cut them up and put them in the freezer while they're froze. I mean, it still looks okay, but we won't see the real impact until things thaw out. So we went ahead and took the tomatoes off. These here, more radishes. They're bit back kind of, but I think they'll be okay. One thing that we're concerned about is our pepper here. We don't know how it's going to fare. It'll take several days before we'll know. We're hoping that we don't lose it. More pepper over here. Hoping the same thing on it. It looks bit, but we won't know till it actually warms up. I move around. The onions are bit pretty hard, but they'll probably be okay. This is the Dinosaur Kale. I mean, it knocked it down pretty hard, but usually it's pretty resilient and it'll come back. Our onions along the sides here of the English peas, our experiment, they're bit down some from the cold, but I really think they'll probably perk back up. I think they'll be fine. So we wanted to do this documentation on the one with the white shade cloth and 19 degrees outside and show you with no heat in here, and it closed up. 32 is as cold as we got. That's what it's showing right now. So actually, it's actually showing maybe a little warmer than that, maybe 35 since I walked in here. So it's moving up a little bit, and that's good. That's good. So now we'll check out the other high tunnel with the dark shade cloth on it at 40%. I'm just short of breath because it's so cold outside. And see how it's doing. We can see the water that's puddled up here that normally runs over into the pond here is mostly frozen. It's almost all frozen. You can hear the ice is spewed up out of the ground everywhere. This is all ice. Walk over to the pond and see what it looks like around the edges here. Ice is spewed up all out of the rocks. See if I can show a little bit better view of that. You can see the ice spewed up out of the ground. We look down around the edges of the pond down here. There's ice spewed up everywhere around the edges. That's how cold it is. I mean, you can see here. Look at all the ice. Isn't this beautiful though? I mean, even though it's ice, it's beautiful. It almost looks like artwork. How it spews and stands up like that out of the soil. This is the pond dam. Just stuck up in the air up here. Look how the ice is frozen, spewed up out of the dam all across the whole dam. The whole thing is just ice spewed up out of the ground. That's how cold the ground is frozen. If I walk on it, you can hear it. Yeah, everything's frozen. Solid. The ground's all frozen in the Deep South. Okay, we're over into the high tunnel with the dark shade cloth. It's 19 degrees outside, and it is, guys, it looks like it's about 35, maybe 36 degrees in here. Let's take a look at some of the stuff. Here is a pepper right beside it. Really doesn't appear to be hurt. Let's look around. here's all of our other peppers still standing up here. Now it's early, I can't really tell, but doesn't look like they're, at this point, this part is bit. Now over here is different. This side right here looks like it might have taken a little biting. It looks like it could have possibly gotten bit. We'll have to wait a day and see. I've noticed on the ground a lot of leaves have fallen off. That tells me that, you know, they did get bit, and they are falling off first thing this morning. Well, let's see the onions. The onions look fine over here. They're standing up, no problems. They look like they're doing really good. The cabbages, this one seems to be okay. This one seems okay. The little one here seems like it's coming along good. Okay, this one right here, I can see where it's been frozen. Right on top right there. Yep. We'll probably have to get this one out today and try to go ahead and use it, because it got bit a little bit in the top there, frozen. The lemon trees, it's going to be hard to tell because it doesn't have any leaves on it really that's anything. It's mostly shed its leaves. The Calamundans Oranges, look at this. They're putting on new growth. Now, we haven't cleaned the leaves since this summer. Not a big deal. You can just come in here. That stuff wipes right off. So dusty in here when we blow here with the air, with the blower, and we blow this thing. We get trash all over stuff. And we had a little bit of a white fly problem. Left a little problem, but the trees are fine. It's actually putting on new growth. The pineapples appear to be okay. This Calamundan looks like it's okay. I don't see any new growth on it yet, but it looks okay. These peppers, I'm going to say these got bit. I could be wrong, but I'm going to say they got bit. Now, they're on the north side of the greenhouse, so it's quite possible. Strawberries they look fine. The onions over here look like they got bit a little bit right here, but I think they may come out. This will be, this one's going to be hard to say how bad it got bit. This was actually from the last cold spell we had. So only time is going to tell how bad this one got bit this time, whether it's going to take it all the way back to the main trunk. These are the little ones I put in here, and they have some new growth in the top, so I don't know if it got bit too bad or not. It doesn't feel like it. Now this one feels real soft. Yeah, this one doesn't. This is the Satsuma trees. They look fine. Doesn't look like anything happened to them. So, well, I'm sitting here with my door open, so that's going to let more cold air in here. Blueberry is actually starting to bud out right here, so I don't think it's bothered it. Our onions and garlic here, they look fine, so I don't think we got any issues there. Parsley in the back corner got bit a little bit, but I think it'll probably come out and be fine. So all around, I believe this one is the one with the dark shade cloth. I'm going to tell you, I really believe the dark shade cloth is going to be a winner for us. I think we're probably going to be, if we do anything else, it's going to be dark shade cloths. We're not going to use the white ones anymore. I don't think we'll order a white one anymore. I think if we order from this point forward, it'll all be the dark ones, because they seem to, I don't know, the temperature seems to have done a lot better. I mean, since I've been in here, you see what, this is since I've been in here. It's up to almost 40. And I'm sure it's raised up to like 21 or 22 degrees outside now. So that's where we're at, guys. I'm going to say that the dark shade cloth wins out. So a few little flurries. Today is, I always like to document the day if I can. Today is the 16th of February, 2021. Well, good morning, guys. We're back out here in our high tunnels. We're trying to document what's going on in the high tunnels. This is day 2. As you've seen in the previous video clip ahead of this one, We had went through the winter storm. Yesterday, the temperatures only got above freezing for maybe 2 hours at the most, and then it started dropping right back down again. This morning it is 21 degrees outside. Inside the high tunnel, and it completely closed in, is 32 degrees. I mean, we're right at freezing. Now, yesterday I showed you some of the things hadn't really showed any signs of having a lot of problems. Even yesterday evening when it warmed up above freezing, I still didn't see any major problems. But going back down into the deep freeze again last night, and it just being so many hours so cold, we're beginning to see the effects of it. The peppers behind me over here this morning look like they've been frozen. The peppers on the other side looks like they're all frozen. The banana tree looks like it's bit back all the way to the main stalk. Not really sure how bad that's going to be, if it's going to have to start from the bottom all over again or not. We don't know yet. The little bananas, it got both of them. So they're going to have to start all the way back from the root. So guys, the cold has took its toll on the high tunnel. Now, this is the high tunnel that has the dark shade cloth over it. And right now I'm looking at the sides of it here. You can see how the ice on it is. It looks almost like a wallpaper. It's actually pretty to see how it's done. It's like some kind of glyphics on the wall here. But the walls, the stuff is frozen. That's all solid ice. The water has frozen on the walls. What happened yesterday when it warmed up for those 2 hours, the greenhouse got warm in here, and then when it got cold again, it began to sweat because of the heat that was transferred off of everything in here. And of course it made moisture on the sides, and now it's frozen, which even helps to make everything in here even colder. So the alliums have all done well, it seems. They don't seem to be hurting too bad. Blackberries, they seem like they're doing okay. Of course, the fruit trees, we're looking for the chill hours on them, which this is perfect for them. Not having any problems with that. That's something that we wanted to happen, so that's actually a good thing. So far, the citrus trees seem like they're holding up pretty well. They don't seem like they're hurt in any kind of way. They're doing well. The banana tree now, that's a different story. We talked about how that the leaves have all gotten bit down on it. It's still green right in here, pretty good. But guys, it's not over. We've got another several days. We're going to warm up briefly, and then we're going to drop back down to 20 degrees again for a couple of days. So I may opt to go ahead and cover this for the next freeze. These onions right here, I believe they'll come out and do okay. The strawberries are actually looking pretty decent. Of course, it's going to take a little warm weather. They're blooming real good, but I think they're going to be fine. I think they'll probably fare pretty well. This is one of the peppers I was telling you about that we were getting peppers on. I think it pretty much has gotten it. Now the pepper still feels fine, but the plants, they're pretty much, I think we're going to have to take them up. Okay, this is the old-fashioned multiplying onions that I've had for, I don't know, probably 15 years or more. They are doing fine. The cold has never affected them whatsoever. They just Cadillac right on through it. I've seen it snow on them, and they just keep on going. This is a great variety of multiplying onions to have. Rather than lose them, we'll probably go ahead and take them out, even though the heads are small. We'll go ahead and take these out of here today so that we don't lose them completely, and try to go ahead and get them used. As a matter of fact, we really need these pots cleaned up because we have a system we're fixing to install in here to see how it works in the high tunnel. This is the other peppers that I showed you yesterday that looked like they were doing really good. This morning, I think the freeze has probably got them. I'm going to leave them to let all the leaves fall off of them and everything, and see if the plants die all the way to the ground. If they don't die to the ground and I can cut them off and they'll come back out, then we'll probably just leave the roots in the ground. But if not, we'll just clean them up and get ready to plant there again next year. Oh, okay guys, we've moved over to the other high tunnel, the one with the white shade cloth on the top of it. And it's just like the previous one. Ice is on all the walls around it. Everything's frozen, all the moisture. And the onions in the corner, they look okay. When it warms up, I think they'll probably pick back up. But the big issue with this greenhouse is, yesterday I told you that the English peas looked like they had frozen and we were probably going to take them out. Well, yesterday we took them out. We went ahead and harvested all the English peas before we lost them, and got a pretty good bit of English peas off of them. We was really pleased with that, and got all the plants out of here and got the greenhouse high tunnel cleaned up. So we don't have really that much left in here. We have a few kales and we have the radishes. Now the tomato plant I told you about yesterday that we would re-look at again today, it's dead today. The freeze last night killed it. Yesterday when I came in here, the radishes looked pretty rough, but when the sun popped out yesterday evening for a couple of hours, boy, they stood back up just as pretty. They looked really nice. So I have good hopes for them. They'll probably be fine. The tomato, on the other hand, it's got to come out. It's got to go. The freeze killed it. These other radishes, same thing. They popped up, standing up beautiful yesterday evening for a couple of hours. They're back down. The bush okra, believe it or not, still green down at the bottom, but the top's dying back. The aloes and the onions and stuff in here, they look okay at the moment. It's one of them things that only time's going to tell, so we don't know yet. The pepper plant we had here, looks like the freeze got it. We're going to have to wait and see if it comes back from the root. We hope it does. I see our earthworms in it have died and frozen. They came up and froze in it. So this one and that one over there both look like they froze. So we lost a year's growth on it. So I guess that from this point forward, we'll be waiting to see if they actually come back out from the ground. Well, these onions so far, they came back and are faring well. Yesterday they looked really good yesterday evening, and this morning they look nice and still look green, so they should be okay. The Dinosaur Kale yesterday was standing up real pretty and nice. Of course, the cold has laid it back down, so I have hopes that it'll come back on out and do pretty good also. So onions down the bed here where we had the English peas look a little knocked down this morning because it's extremely dry. We had no water to get to it yesterday. All the hoses were frozen and everything. We couldn't get them thawed out. So hopefully today, if the temperature comes up enough that the hoses thaw out, we're going to come in here and try to get these onions watered. Because I can tell it's a water stress that they're facing right now. And I think they're going to probably be alright eventually. Well, we're here at the thermometer. The thermometer says this one is at about 33 to 34 degrees, which is actually about 2 degrees warmer than the other one. So, just as we suspected, the white shade cloth is staying warmer than the dark shade cloth. It's really a good thing because we want the warmer vegetables in here. We're wanting the other high tunnel to stay cool because that's where we're putting our cool weather crops at, and our things like fruit trees and stuff like that that need the chill hours. So this high tunnel is stayed a little bit warmer, but this being our first winter to actually use the high tunnels, guys, it's been a learning experience for us. In the future, if we're going to be growing any warmer season vegetables in the high tunnel during the winter months, I now know that we are going to have to come up with some sort of a heat source in here. Now, what it will be, I don't know yet. Wanda and I have talked about a wood heater to go in here. I don't know if that's actually the route we're going to take. It seems to be the cheapest route to take. But I guess time's going to tell, because we're going into this grand solar minimum, and this is the first year of it. And it's already proven to be a big time issue with cold. And they're saying that every year after this is going to get a little bit worse. So if that is the case, and I'm not saying it is, but if that is the case, then Wanda and I will have to look for some type of alternative heat in this particular greenhouse. Now, we're not worried about the other one, because the other one we want to be cold. But this one, if we want to keep any kind of food growing throughout the winter months, then we're going to have to come up with some kind of a way to keep the temperature at least 45 to 50 degrees and above in order for vegetables to survive and to do all right. So this high tunnel has done really excellent for us throughout the cold winter months. Now, we've been down in the 20s many times here already, and we've not had any problems with anything in here. As a matter of fact, everything has survived just fine, because it was only like one day, and then it would warm up, and then one day, and it would warm up, and there's enough thermal mass in here to keep it warm overnight for just one day. But what we've been facing this time is we've had just days of it being cold. And when you have that, there's no recovering from it, because we don't have the thermal mass in here. Now, if we had enough thermal mass in here, yeah, it probably would work. And I have thought about that, putting some black drums in here and filling them with water, and let the heat of the day heat those drums up and keep enough heat in here. And we may consider something like that. But this greenhouse as a whole, or high tunnel as a whole, has really done well. It's just that now that we've dropped into this deep freeze, we are realizing that we're going to have to do something. Now, what I probably might do is I may go ahead and buy 3 or 4 more heat lamps, and the light fixtures that I'm going to be installing up here, these light fixtures have plug-ins on them. And I might, out in the middle out here, plug in a heat lamp out here, and maybe in a couple other places put some heat lamps, these 200 amp ones like you used to put on animals and chickens and stuff like that, and just see if running those for a day or two in here at night might help keep this greenhouse or high tunnel up above freezing, so we don't lose our vegetables. And that may be something that we look at. Now, the reason I say that thermal mass plays a big part, we have a greenhouse that's attached to the back of our barn. It's a lean-to on the back of our barn. We have not heated it at all. It's the same temperature at the back of the barn as it is right here. But the difference is the thermal mass from the barn and it being attached to the barn. That greenhouse has not frozen. The temperatures in it last year, or several years ago, the temperature went down to 14 and 15 degrees, and the temperature in that greenhouse never went below 45. So that tells us that if you've got thermal mass in a greenhouse or a high tunnel, then it will not freeze, and which thermal mass is something we don't have with these high tunnels, and we need to create some thermal mass. This greenhouse high tunnel does not have any thermal mass at all. The other high tunnel has all the big black pots in it. It's got lots of them down through it. It has some thermal mass in it. As that pot is black and it heats up and the soil heats up in it, there's a lot more black ground cover. The ground is able to radiate some more heat out of it. This one has all these raised beds in it, and there's very little walk space in between everything. So thermal mass is going to be the way to go with the high tunnels or a greenhouse. So you just keep that in mind. We're trying to document all this stuff for not only for your benefit, for ours also. And we're trying to figure out the best solutions to being able to grow during these frigid temperatures. And the reason I said wood heat a while ago is because what we're seeing in Texas and Oklahoma and Missouri and all these places right now where they're having all these power, having to shut the power down for a while and turn it back off for a while and turn it on and turn it off. Should that happen and we have a wood heater in here, all we've got to do is stick some wood heat in it, and it will keep our high tunnels warmed up enough that we don't have to depend on electricity. So we'll probably do the electricity also, but in the event that we have an electrical issue, we want the wood heater for a backup to be able to heat these high tunnels, to salvage what we have in here and not lose our crops during the winter months. So guys, today I wanted to do this video to just show you, hey, we're in the Deep South. We're experiencing a lot of this cold too. Not as bad as a lot of y'all are. Our biggest issue right now is wind. The wind keeps blowing like crazy, and the chill factor is way down, and that's what's hurting us here, and the humidity. Those two factors together are what destroys plants. And so we wanted to document this to be able to help not only people up north who have high tunnels, some solutions maybe, but also people down south who have them, because we're going to face some of the same issues also. It's just maybe in a little bit different form. So guys, stay with us. We're going to keep you up to date on our high tunnels and show you what's going on through the winter months. Thank you guys from Deep South Homestead.